Welcome to our series on conquering adversity. Pastor Thamo Naidoo, Apostolic Leader and Elder of Gate Ministries in Johannesburg, South Africa, shares his inspirational journey with clinical psychologist Dr. Rani.
Hello, Thamo. Thank you for sharing your story with us today. I really appreciate your time. I'm certain that you have overcome many personal challenges to be where you are today. And I'd like you to just share maybe one of those challenges and perhaps share with us just how you dealt with it. What did you deal with and how you dealt with it?
Well, thank you, Rani, for having me on this interview. It's a pleasure to share with you our life story. Most of our lives have been spent in the ministry. I've been in the ministry of the church since the age of 23. And it's been an interesting journey with many high moments, but also some very dark and difficult times.
Yes.
I think our whole ministry in the church as full-time pastors started with an incident that has marked our lives indelibly.
Okay.
In our third year at Bible College, my wife and I, Marolyn and I, were just concluding our studies when she became pregnant. And at the point when we concluded our studies, and she was 6 months pregnant.
All right.
And it was in the month of December when we were placed at our first church in a little town called Greytown, a farming community here in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. And our first Sunday was on the 20th of December, which was Marolyn's birthday. And she was 6 months pregnant, went to church, and we were announced as the pastors of that church, little community. And the next day she was going to go for a checkup with the gynecologist, and they discovered that she was carrying conjoined twins.
Okay.
And that they shared one heart, and the pregnancy had to be terminated.
Sure.
And I would not forget the occasion, because in the same week the pregnancy was terminated. It caused great conflict with our spiritual beliefs, and the fact that we just launched into ministry as full-time pastors. And it raised many questions in our minds. And I remember when the news was given to us that we had to terminate the lives of these twins, and there was no hope of them surviving in the first place, and secondly, threatened the life of Marolyn. We had to make this difficult decision. And I asked God 1,000 questions and wept before Him.
Yes.
It was very emotional for me, and she was in hospital at that time. But I remember very clearly, and it became a very significant moment, a moment that I always look back on life. I vowed to God after asking all those questions and weeping before Him, expressing all my feelings. Because we'd given our whole lives to Him by going into college. We'd spent 3 years there studying, and you'd like to think that your commitment will give you a trouble-free life, and then it's marked by this this tragedy. And I vowed to the Lord. I said, from today I will not ask you another question, but I will serve you selflessly, and I will never point another finger of accusation against you. And since we've experienced many encounters in life, but I don't think I've asked God again a negative question. And we've had a subsequent pregnancy that was also Marolyn lost before we had our first son.
Sure.
But I've not asked Him again a negative question concerning my faith or my belief in Him.
Sure. Thank you, Thamo, for sharing that. I think loss is such a common theme of most people's lives, and that's what we struggle with. Since then, you've had quite a journey spiritually, and I'm wondering what you think is the role of adversity in our spiritual journey. What role do you think that plays in shaping who we become eventually?
Yeah, my standard, the standard that I've used to define my view of life is God's word, and it is filled with stories of successes and failures, of great blessings and terrible calamities, and I've learned how to take that as part of life's journey, as a lesson for life's journey. And I've learned one thing, that no matter how great the adversity is, its primary objective is to bring us to a better place in our own well-being and, in our view of life. So my philosophy has been very simple. God permits crises so that He can produce His kairoi in life, the seasons of God in life, the kairos of God. And so, if anything is formed against me, I use it to produce the best in me.
Okay.
That's become a very important perspective that helps me to translate life.
Okay.